Hi, everybody. We're the Skeleton Crew, and today we are going to, I swear to God, record our shortest video about a Jurassic World Evolution 2 animal ever, because this dinosaur isn't real. It does not really exist. There is no valid species with this name. But we still have to make a video about it because it's included in the game.
The wheel has chosen. The wheel has spoken. Chosen. We must comply.
I don't even think we should do bits this video, Scott. Honestly, I think we should just like speedrun this whole critter. Just like, this is what it is. There is no comedy here.
We'll just release this as a short. We'll just be like, hey, this is Crichton. This is Crichtonsaurus.
I actually made that joke at the end of the last video. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, this is Crichtonsaurus. I have nothing further to say about him. Goodbye. Anyway, before we get into it, a couple things. One, based on our release schedule, at some point in the future from when we're recording this, but in the past for when you're watching it, we will have done a live stream to benefit the SVP Futures Award. This will have happened on October 14th. However, in the immortal words of Yoda, there is another. And
Jesus Christ.
We have to make our own fun. It's a Crichtonsaurus video.
I thought you said we weren't doing bits.
I'm doing bits. You're not.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only one who's allowed to get laughs this video.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, there's going to be another live stream on October 29th. We're going to run, it's going to be another marathoner. We're probably going to go about 12 hours, right? Starting at noon, going until we stop. We're trying to raise $10,000 for the SVP Futures Award, which is a scholarship that supports undergraduates from historically underrepresented groups in the geosciences as they pursue summer research opportunities. And this is a really, really important thing to increasing diversity and inclusion within paleontology, because those sorts of low or no paying summer research opportunities are absolutely critical for getting your foot in the door and getting a place in a good graduate program. So people from historically underrepresented groups are facing additional barriers that prevent them from undertaking those opportunities. And this is a pretty important root cause of a lot of diversity issues. We are hoping that we're able to raise $10,000 for this fund, because doing so will enable us to support 2 full recipients of this award. So either one recipient for 2 years or 2 recipients in 1 year. And that's a really, really important thing. So I wish I could tell you right now how much money we raised in the first stream, but as we're recording this, it hasn't happened yet, so we can't do that.
But we'll put it on screen right here.
Yes, right now. That's how much we raised in the first stream.
Wow.
Now,
well done, guys.
Now, basic math
really helped out a lot.
Take 10,000, subtract the number from that, and that is how much more we have to raise. If the number is negative because we've already exceeded $10,000, disregard what I have said and continue to donate money to the Futures Award. Because
please don't take money from the Futures Award.
Do not take negative $1,000. Or take negative $1,000. Don't give negative $1,000. Anyway, we're doing this fundraising live stream. You should come to it. I believe, based on when this video is slated to drop, that we will also have not yet done our panel for the Virtual Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting. So that is something that people can register to attend. You do have to pay the registration fee to SVP, but if you come in, you'll be able to see our live panel where we talk a little bit about kind of the history and philosophy behind the YouTube channel, right? Why did we form the Skeleton Crew? Why do we approach our videos the way we approach them? All that sort of stuff. And if you're a fan of the Skeleton Crew, I think you might want to see that.
Or my panel on fossil prep.
Don't go to his.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Go to his if you're a fossil preparator. But go to ours.
Or if you're really cool.
Our panel. Our panel.
Well, I'm saying if you're going to one, panel. Go to both.
That's true. Right. You can actually do both with your registration fee. Can you tell we don't want to talk about Crichtonsaurus?
You can't go to both because there's a different second panel that you should go to, which is the lizard panel that I am on.
Is everyone here on more than one panel?
Yeah. Are you?
No, I'm not.
So no, actually.
Well, no, I meant everybody other than me. I said it wrong. I said it wrong because I was trying to do the lead-in for a bit. And
I know.
I got too ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
Crichtonsaurus, everybody.
Oh, yeah, Crichtonsaurus. Come to our panel if you're registered for the virtual SVP meeting. And we do encourage, if you're somebody who's a little bit younger who wants to get into paleontology, going to the virtual meeting is a great first step. It's going to be really fun. And make sure that you tune in for our live stream where we benefit the Futures Award on October 29th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, running for probably about 12 hours. We will throw ourselves at your feet to raise money for this award. Anyway, it's been 10 minutes, and there are other orders of business to attend to. Like the video.
Are there?
Comment on the video.
Oh.
Subscribe to the Skeleton Crew. Support us on Patreon if you can. And I'm Dr. James Napoli. The tired and defeated figure limping in front of you is a postdoctoral researcher at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences and North Carolina State University.
Tired, but never defeated. My name is Amelia Zietlow. I am a PhD candidate at the American Museum of Natural History.
Sunburnt from my recent whale watching trip and ready to go talk about this amazing, incredible little guy of an animal is Scott Johnston, vertebrate paleontology, fossil preparator, and technician at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology.
Forced H.P. Lovecraft or Gothic horror reference here.
Indeed.
You'll notice that the Yale boys are absent today. We have won.
They've been eaten by the Mormons. They're in Utah, right?
No, they're in Colorado. That's why it's funny.
Damn it. I don't know. Maybe they ran into some.
Can you imagine getting eaten by Mormons across the border?
Oh, I thought they were in Utah.
Listen. Say what you will. Those Mormon magic underwear must be absolutely fantastic, because have you seen what Mitt Romney looks like at 75? All right. And together we're the Skeleton Crew.
Only slightly most of the Skeleton Crew.
Just over half.
We're legally enough of the Skeleton Crew that we can record a video.
Enough of the Skeleton Crew that if you turned us into a bank, you could get a whole Skeleton Crew to replace it. Let's release some Crichtonsaurus.
Yeah, I'm trying to parse that one, and I still can't.
Oh, if you have 51% of a bill, and it's destroyed, you can turn it into a bank, and they'll give you a new one.
Right, good practical advice for all of those millennials who carry cash regularly.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
this guy looks like he carries cash.
He does. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what that means either.
What's the meme from that woman on the airplane that was viral this summer? Like, that mother isn't real.
Yeah.
You're right. I do appreciate that
this mother isn't real.
We are starting off spooky season with this is peek behind the curtain, everybody. This is our first dinosaur that we're recording in Halloween times, October, and we're recording about a fictional dinosaur.
I think this probably warrants some explanation. Because probably, dear viewer, you're saying, what on earth are you talking about? Why would they put a fictional dinosaur in the game? Yes, Scott.
Can I just real quick say, what on earth are these guys talking about? Because, like, if any of y'all play Spore, this thing just made a sound effect from Spore. Listen. Right there.
Oh my god.
Right?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry to cut you off, James, but this guy just gave me flashbacks to Spore with that sound there.
Yep.
And I played way too much Spore back in the day.
I played a lot of Spore.
Oh, I played so much Spore. Okay.
I'm turning up the volume on the stream right now just so I can hear it a little bit better.
All right, James.
Yeah.
What about this animal doesn't exist?
Yeah, the animal. So when we say it's fictional, we don't mean that it was created by the designers of this game. That said, if one dinosaur were going to be entirely created fictionally by the designers of Jurassic Park game, Crichton Pelta would kind of be
Crichtonsaurus.
Crichtonsaurus. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Right. So when we talk about an animal not being real or being fake, we are not talking about this thing as a creature that was like created out of whole cloth by the designers of the Jurassic World Evolution 2 game, or it was actually in Jurassic Park Evolution, or I'm sorry, Jurassic World Evolution 1 as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't invented. This is a dinosaur that was named. The reason we're saying it's fake is that Crichtonsaurus is what's known in the field, to those in the know, as nomen dubium. Side note,
The first of two in the game?
You think of Troodon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Troodon is an interesting case. I'm hoping that papers on Troodon emerge before we have to deal with it in the game.
Watch us spin it on the wheel next.
I was going to say, if we spin it on the wheel, cut to that. Yeah, it is. So, okay. Also, fun fact for Skeleton Crew viewers, Nomen Dubium was on the list of potential names for the channel.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yes.
A while ago, yeah.
Well, I mean, right before we had it, when we were initially going to, like, when we were just thinking about names and kind of toying with the idea of making a channel.
Sensu Stricto, Nomen Dubium.
Yeah. There were a lot of Latin names, and I did like the Latin names, but I will also concede Skeleton Crew was a much better name.
Yeah.
Even though it was basically no one's favorite, which was kind of funny.
It was everyone's second. No, it was my favorite because I came up with it. But
Right.
I was biased.
The same thing kind of with the logo, too. Like, I don't think that the color scheme was anybody's favorite, but we agreed it was the
I think
best.
it was mine as well. Oh, Jesus.
Maybe. I don't know.
Scott is the voice of the average American. He's like that one voter in Ohio who predicts every election.
I resent that.
Sorry.
Don't you dare say I'm anything like Ohio.
In any case, so a nomen dubium, there's a Latin word that just means an uncertain or dubious name. It's kind of what it sounds like. A nomen dubium is a species, or a species name, that goes to a holotype specimen that is not diagnostic. And not diagnostic means that the specimen does not contain unique traits that allow you to recognize members of the species and differentiate it from other species. When you name a species, you have to provide what's called a diagnosis of the species. And kind of like the situation that happens in medicine, where you have diagnostic traits of a particular illness or issue, you have to list these diagnostic traits of the animal. They don't define what the animal is, but you will say you can recognize this and differentiate it from other species by these traits.
And specifically the combination of those traits together.
Well, sometimes they're all autapomorphies where they say if you have it at all, you're a member of that species. But usually Amelia's right that it's a combination of unique traits, which is an autapomorphy, and a unique combination of other traits that might not be unique to the animal, but in combination are only found there. Kind of like in medicine, right? I've had Lyme disease in the past, right? This is like a thing that has happened in my life. Lyme disease has diagnostic symptoms, right? You can be tired. You might have a bullseye rash. You might have joint pain, brain fog. A lot of these things with Lyme disease, they're diagnostic, but they don't define what it is, right? Lyme disease is an active infection by a bacterium called Borrelia burgdorferi. That's Lyme disease. So just like the species exists, you give it a diagnosis that describes it. What's important is that this holotype specimen or the paratype or neotype or whatever you've erected the name on, there are various different kinds of types. The type specimen has the diagnostic traits that you can use to distinguish it from other species and to recognize new specimens as going to that species. So that's a long way of saying that the holotype of Crichtonsaurus, basically what it has are enough traits that you know it's an ankylosaur. Because we know what kind of animal this is. And this actually happens a lot, and it's one of the reasons that, and I'm going to avoid going on this tangent, but people need to be very careful when you refer material to an existing species or genus. Because say you find like a really, really fragmentary giant theropod leg bone in the Hell Creek Formation of North America. You don't really have enough evidence to say that it's Tyrannosaurus rex. You know it's Tyrannosaurus rex. But it doesn't actually show the traits that we use to differentiate Tyrannosaurus rex from its closest relatives. Now, that is not me saying there's something T-Rex sized living in that environment, but on a scientific epistemology level, you should only be identifying something to a certain taxonomic group if it has the traits that allow you to do so. What happened with Crichtonsaurus is that we know it's an ankylosaur, and we can't really differentiate it from other ankylosaurs reliably based on the type material.
We know a little bit more than it's just an ankylosaur.
Well, do we?
We do.
Oh my god, is this a lead-in to phylogeny?
This is a lead-in to I'm being taken over by the ghost of Alex.
Was he killed in Colorado?
No. He can astral project.
Yeah, if anybody in the skeleton crew can do that, it's definitely him.
That's probably the real reason why his camera goes blurry.
He's just astral
Just
projecting
leaving his corporeal form.
You know, you beat me to saying the phrase corporeal form. I don't know how we were both thinking that. Anyway.
It's a good phrase.
It is a good phrase.
So not only is Crichtonsaurus an ankylosaur, it is specifically an ankylosaurine, which is the most derived group of ankylosaurids. So this is... I hate groups that are like this, where it's an ankylosaurid, ankylosaur. It just sounds like I'm doing a who's on first situation. But basically, that means that this little guy here is at least hypothesized to be one of the more derived, more air quotes advanced, of the tail club ankylosaurs. That being said, Victoria Arbor has found that he is most likely the most basal known of the ankylosaurines. But yeah, this one's not that involved of a phylogenum because, as aforementioned, Victoria Arbor also says this guy isn't real.
Well, and I want to just clarify a point. So Crichtonsaurus, there's a number of specimens that have been attributed to it. And the problem is twofold.
Yes.
There's a type that is a partial like jaw with teeth. And then there's a bunch of fossils of the rest of the body. You will notice that there is nothing overlapping between those, which is a really important sticking point. If you don't have the material present in the type, you can't identify other remains as belonging to that species unless you have overlapping evidence.
Yep.
This is something that I think is very important. It's why I strive to, whenever possible, like name only species that are known from pretty decent remains. Like, you have to work with what you can get, but there are like a lot of isolated scraps and things that seem to be like distinct from other known animals. But if it's just something really fragmentary, like it's only one finger bone or something, even if it does look distinct, it's not really helpful scientifically to name it a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the realities of the rock units you're working into. So like in the Gobi Desert material of Central Asia, which is really, really rich, it's generally not like practice to name the more fragmentary stuff because you assume you'll find a good fossil of it eventually and you'll name it based on that. Mm-hmm. If you're working in areas where fossils are really rare, you kind of have to name I was trying to say crappy and fragmentary stuff at the same time, and that resulted in a fracky. Yeah. You kind of have to name the more fragmentary material if you want to talk about species at all. So there's a little bit of a kind of give and take. But in the case of Crichtonsaurus, the problem was we had an undiagnostic type. We have all these other bones that have been attributed to it, but have no overlap and no evidence that they belong to the same species.
Yeah.
Now, based on all of those bones, I believe, in Victoria Arbor's paper, it's a basal ankylosaur. Like, those more complete skeletons are basal ankylosaurian. But we don't know that they're Crichtonsaurus. And so, like before, there is another.
I do also, I have to say real quick, James, that is one of the things that I really appreciate about your work, is that you mostly work on just these very known for being well-preserving groups, like Dromaeosaurus and Oviraptors.
Oviraptors preserve really well.
Unless they're Kennegnathids.
Unless they're but I don't work on Kennegnathids.
I know.
But you know what?
I know what?
Yeah, it was a good setup. No, and I mean, like, listen, I think there are probably people who would say, like, Kuru was probably pushing it in terms of what was present to name it.
How much of Kuru is there again? For our audience who haven't read your paper, which you should go do.
Yeah, what you're watching this video without having read my paper on Kurukola?
You haven't done your homework?
Right. Go read my paper.
Go to your
video,
room.
Come back. Yeah.
Go to your room. Read the paper. I'm your dad now.
Kuru is known from elements throughout the skeleton, but none of them are very complete. However, it's distinct enough from the only other velociraptor known in the ecosystem, and is known from material kind of throughout the skeleton, that we felt comfortable naming it. So, like, had Kuru been only the fragmentary crania that we found, we probably wouldn't have. But there's cranial bones, there's vertebrae, there's arm bones, there's leg bones, there's toe bones. And so with all of that, like, you have kind of enough that you can make a case, but it's getting toward the end of, you know, I would be less confident about this than I am for, like, something that's much more complete.
And that's a really good insight into why someone, even if they had a relatively fragmentary animal, can be pretty confident to say that this is something new and deserves its own unique name.
Right. Right. And also, you generally need to name things to get papers on them.
Generally.
So, it's not always, but it is, like, it's kind of part of the publishing incentives. Like, the journals want the paper to name it too. So, you know, you have to do that, but it's all calibrated for where you are. If you're working in rock units where you find nothing, right, and, like, every fossil is like the holy grail, you're going to name those because you just need to be able to talk about them. And you probably know you're never going to find that species again anyway. The fossils are so rare.
Oh, like some of the Antarctic things that we've seen.
Right. Like Imperabator is a really fragmentary animal. And, you know, you need the foot bones to be able to refer anything to Imperabator, but material's really rare in Antarctica. Anyway, this is going on too long about this. The thing I was getting to is that a second species of Crichtonsaurus had been named. So the type species... And we'll let Amelia tell you what these names mean in a moment, because that's the only thing we have left to do in this video at this point. So anyway, the type species was Crichtonsaurus bolini. And a second species that had been named was Crichtonsaurus benjiensis.
This guy looks like a Benji. I'd name this one Benji.
Benji, not Benji.
Oh.
Sorry.
Auditory dyslexia as well.
So Crichtonsaurus benjiensis actually got moved to a new genus because Victoria Arbor basically said, we don't know that the original genus type, the genotype was Crichtonsaurus bolini. So we can't say with any confidence that this really should belong to a genus called Crichtonsaurus. But we know that this species is actually pretty well diagnosed. And so Victoria Arbor moved it to a new genus called Crichton pelta. So Crichton pelta benjiensis is real. And I suspect this is Crichton pelta.
Well, yeah, because that's the one that if you Google this animal, there's skeletons that show up that look like this. So they must be based on that then, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Amelia, what does Crichtonsaurus mean?
It means Crichton's lizard, after Michael Crichton, the author of Jurassic Park.
And what does Crichton pelta mean?
Crichton's shield. After, I don't know, the shield that he wore into battle, perhaps? No, it's because... Wish. Yeah. No, it's so I imagine that was to kind of retain the... whatchamacallit? The link to Michael Crichton, while also giving it a different name because it's a different animal. And because it's an ankylosaur. Lots of ankylosaurs have pelta in the name, which means shield because they're big walking shields. Bolini is after a paleontologist. It honors Birger Bolin, a Swedish paleontologist, who went on paleo expeditions to China in the early 1900s and described other Chinese ankylosaurs. The other one is named for the locality.
That's very creative.
Very nice.
Actually, I'm sorry. It's for the Geological Museum.
Oh,
The Benshi Geological Museum.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's actually a nice name.
Yeah.
I want to correct one thing before. We said that Crichtonsaurus had been recovered as the most bankle.
The most
We're done.
Bengal.
I was trying to say basal ankylosaurian, and we got the most bankle.
It's a bankle, all right.
He's a bankle, yeah. I think we need to start coming up with more incredibly stupid names for regions of the family tree, like especially if they're paraphyletic grades. This is a bankle. Anyway, Crichton pelta is the one that was recovered as a very basal ankylosaurian.
That was it.
Because that was by Victoria Arbour, who had already invalidated Crichtonsaurus, so she would not have included in the phylogeny. I had misremembered which one was on her tree. Right. But then again, they might be the same genus, really. It's just a nomenclatural quirk that, you know, the original material doesn't really have a species that can confidently live in. It's just too fragmentary.
Yeah.
But Crichton pelta is pretty well known. We actually have a skull, too.
Oh, we do? Does it look like this?
I mean, vaguely. I can't get access to the paper.
Goofy little bulldog-looking thing, if the reconstructions online are to be trusted.
That's the kind of thing I like.
Bulldog?
Maybe.
See, like, okay, so what do we want to say about this model?
It's fine.
I actually love the model.
Ooh, okay.
What?
Hot take.
Is that really?
I hate it. I think it's disgusting.
Well, okay. Here's what I like about it. I'm not saying it's pretty, but I think it's a remarkably detailed and fairly, to my eyes, accurate account of what this animal might have looked like, even though it's not a very well-known or publicized animal. And I kind of like that. I think there's a trend in paleo art where generally the more fragmentary known species get less detail in the artwork because there's less to go on. And I remember breeding this. I was kind of expecting it to feel like Ankylosaurus, where it's just like this detailless blob. And I don't know, this thing has like real textural detail. It feels like they really tried to design something that looked to some degree plausible. I don't know. I like it.
And I'm going to push back against that a bit. Because, like, while this guy has, like, quite a few neat little details, a lot of them aren't great. Namely, I really dislike that this is one of the two, if memory serves, ankylosaurs in the game that just really don't understand how ankylosaur armor works.
You mean that it's like stretching?
In that these are like big plates that are on the surface of the body, like a turtle shell.
Oh, yeah.
Or like,
yeah. No, I see that.
It's something that this little guy shares with. I almost tried to hit C so I could crouch because these guys are so tiny, which is something I do love about them. That they really scaled them down in this game, and like, and one of the things that I very frequently forget about ankylosaurs is they're way smaller than I remember them being.
Yeah, they're not big boys.
No, even Ankylosaurus, which is the biggest of the boys, is not a huge critter.
Yeah.
I also do very much like that they have to like crane their necks to have it above water. It's really cute. Some real Loch Ness Monster energy going on here. But that it's something that we've seen done absolutely incredibly in things like Nodosaurus, Sauropelta, Euplocephalus, is that these individual osteoderms, while arranged in these like bands going throughout the body, wouldn't have been visible on the surface as these big blocky shields. Like this guy who's trying to run away from me. Come back. Don't run from the Lord. that, yeah, you see how see these kind of like little crocky little bumps that he's got going on here? That would be basically what you would see sticking out. If anything, maybe a little bit more of this kind of like horn sticking out from it, like you see down the midline, which it does our cardinal sin that we always point out of osteoderms going down the midline.
Yeah. Now I want to be very clear to our viewers about something. The fact that I got something wrong is not my fault. For two reasons. One, ontologically. Two,
God damn it.
two, I don't know what's wrong with Scott's internet tonight, but the stream I'm seeing has approximately 6 pixels.
I don't know what's up with things tonight either.
I could not even tell that there were external plates for the armor until you pointed it out. It is so bad.
They look like they could be peeled.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, now that I see them, and also every time he stops moving, I can see it a little bit better. Yeah. Not a great look.
Yeah, it really reminds me of the base game Ankylosaurus, which we'll get to.
I do like his head, though.
But I hate with a fiery passion. Yeah, the head's nice. The tail's nice. I like the tiny little tail club.
Yeah.
I like that it whacks it around in like its social animations and stuff. One thing I also dislike about this guy, I'm going to be absolutely eviscerating this little dude. I hate the sounds it makes so much.
You mean because they're spore sounds?
Well, partially they're spore sounds, but partially they're also like walrus sounds, just one-to-one walrus sounds.
Maybe they could sing like walruses.
Maybe
Can walruses sing?
They can whistle.
Oh, they can whistle, yeah.
No, I was more going for singing ankylosaurs, but with a joke about walruses.
Oh, yeah.
I do like that. I think they're making the sing noise from Spore. I think that was the particular noise that was the context that was played in.
I believe it was. I think it was also the sound it makes when you like place a carnivore mouth on something for the first time and it smiles.
Yeah. You know, I played a lot of Spore more recently than you might think.
Dr. Jimbo Napoli, when the hell did you re-download Spore?
What?
I said, Dr. Jimbo Napoli, when did you re-download Spore? Also bless you.
Thank you. Is it installed on my computer right now? No, no. It was while I was home over COVID.
Really?
I was looking for things to do. One of them was playing Spore, apparently.
I think we've talked about this previously, but I think that there's at least a chance you might have downloaded some of the models I made.
I never used the online Sporepedia, so probably not. No.
Shame. I made a bunch of dinosaurs.
We're at risk of a Spore stunlock. Amelia, are you aware of Spore?
I'm aware of it. I never have it. It's okay. A game that I planned to get and then never did.
I think you should download it right now. I think you'd like it.
Look at this dude running sideways.
I don't have time to play a new game right now.
Yeah, look at him go. Spore was one of the greatest disappointments of my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
That said, I actually kind of like the later stages of Spore. I don't like the early parts, which are the parts I thought I would like. But I don't know, it's kind of fun to make a spaceship and fly it around.
Yeah, the spaceship stuff's really fun. It's like early prototype No Man's Sky.
Right. No, I mean, it was doing interesting stuff. It just also sucked.
Like this guy.
He's, right, sucking. He does give Turtle a little bit too strongly when he sticks his neck down to drink.
He gives Turtle quite a bit, not as much as another ankylosaur that we'll get to.
Yeah, I do love his head, though. I love the cute black eyes.
The big black... Honestly, the biggest things that kind of save this model for me from like a D tier are... I love the real big doe eyes, and I love that it's so tiny.
Yeah. I also kind of like... I can't say that I know that the skull is accurate, because I am not intimately familiar with these animals enough to know that offhand, but it feels naturalistic.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it could be an animal. I don't know if it's this one. The head does.
And blah, 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 the legs are wrong, the feet are wrong, all that good stuff. Like, we've all heard it before.
Say the line, Bart. It's just kind of an interesting little guy. I don't know.
I'm happy it's in the game.
I wouldn't go that far. But I do think that it's remarkable how much attention was paid to a barely known animal. Like, I didn't know about Crichton Pelta or Crichtonsaurus before the game was out. No,
neither did I.
Yeah. And again, a lot of detail. It's like if they put in, I don't know, the Kuru and made it like a shockingly, like, highly detailed sculpt, even if it wasn't accurate. But just put a lot of work into, like, capturing it.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, like Tanny Calagrius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something that's, like, not really a social media darling. I don't know, it's weird.
And I am, like, I love that they added a bunch of prehistoric critters that are named after people who were involved in the creation of this media. But, like, wow, this one's the worst of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, Attenborough gets Attenborosaurus.
Myrodactylus.
Right, Myrodactylus Spielberg guy,
Spielberg-y.
Right? Yeah.
And, like, sure, is that one, like, not the flashiest pterosaur? Yeah, but, that's what it looked like. This is kind of what Crichtonsaurus / Crichton Pelta look like.
A little bit, maybe.
A little bit, maybe. But he's a little guy.
He is just a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
You know what I think we should do with him?
Take him to the species viewer?
I think we should. We literally have nothing else to say. We're just prolonging the video if we don't.
It's not, like, horrendous, but I just don't like it. And, like, the peel away segments bother me. I really don't like segments on ankylosaurs because they look like caterpillars. Segments on a caterpillar is perfect and okay, and it makes them very cute. But segments on an ankylosaur is a sin. The face is nice. The rest of it's not. I'm giving it a C.
Scott, can you zoom in on the face?
Enhance. That's about as good as I can do.
Yeah, it's very cute, but it just doesn't...
No, here's the thing. When I saw this at low resolution and was filling in my own good details, I was pretty comfortable with a B. And I think I'm still going to give it a B only because I love its cute little coal eyes. It reminds me of a baby goat. The rest of it is not very good. But I do appreciate that they put a lot of effort into doing a character model for this kind of obscure little guy. And that appreciation for effort is, I think, going to get me to give it a low B.
The only thing that's saving this guy from D tier is I don't actually hate it. Like, there's enough little cute things about it. Like, I put Hoyangosaurus in C tier, if memory serves.
Yeah, and that's objectively a worse design than this.
Yes, yes. But I think it's also, like, a bit of a cuter design. Like, I like it for its in-game design better than I like this, even though it's less representative of the actual animal than this is. But I just very, very, very much dislike this guy. I routinely kind of forget that it's in the game. I have it in my parks penned up with Archaeornithomimus and just kind of don't look at that enclosure.
Why do you put it in an enclosure of those animals if you hate them so?
Oh, because I'm a completionist and I like to have everything.
Yeah, I've made some very odd, like, kind of just unsorted Cretaceous of Asia enclosures.
I have too. I had a fun one that I did a Jeep tour that went through the whole thing, and I called it the Central Asiatic Expedition.
Oh, now that's fun.
Right? Yeah. But what's less fun is this grape-flavored chunky dude right here. And I'm going to put him in C tier. So what have are Yale boys?
The Yale boys have two different opinions.
Ooh, shocking.
We have a B from Alex. The explanation is, I like him. That's it.
Okay.
And Dalton,
Alex is he has a way with words.
He's very descriptive today. Dalton has given it a C. Quote, "It inspires nothing in me, neither hatred nor happiness."
That's amazing.
They both have ways with words, those two.
So that would make it a C, right?
Tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be a C.
Okay. With that said, our little boy Crichtonsaurus goes solidly into C tier. C for Crichtonsaurus.
Yeah. Oh, easy. Why did we even make a video about it?
All right.
We literally did not have to release it.
Are you ready to roll Troodon on the wheel?
Are we ready?
To spin
that
wheel.
Oh, goodness.
Oh boy. It's a
We're
real
going to have some things to say about these two designs.
Yep.
Yes, we will. Well, we're going to we've had a weird amount of pterosaur overrepresentation in this series so far.
But we've had a dry streak. When was the last time we had a pterosaur?
Was it Marodactylus or Tropeognathus? I forget what order they came in.
One of those two.
That was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
All right, well, join us next time for Pteranodon.
Arguably the most famous pterosaur. Not even arguably, the most famous pterosaur.
I think that's inarguable.
Yeah.
So join us for Pteranodon. A couple of things, everyone. One, remember to tune into our live stream, which will happen in the future from now. So remember, watch it. Two, there is no two. Just remember to watch the live stream. Remember to subscribe to the Skeleton Crew if you haven't already.
And join our Patreon.
Yeah, join our Patreon if you can. It's a really great place to be. And pursuant to the Patreon, you may have missed this in our recent videos, but we have a lot of patrons. They're really, really kind to us. And as of the recording date of this video, we have a couple of patrons who we need to thank. We have a lot of patrons who are going to be in the credits, which we're going to start about right now in the final video. But we also have a number of extremely generous patrons at our Gorgosaurus tiers and higher. And we are going to give them a verbal shout out right now at the end of the video so that they can hear us thank them as much as they are due. One thing that's fun is today we actually got a new patron at that level. So you'll know when this video was recorded if you are that patron. And we want to specifically thank you for your support too. It means a lot. So those very kind patrons are Benjamin Seepser, nickname 3110, Philip Fico, Andrew Niddle, Christopher Bellis Jones. Welcome to the patron. Welcome to the patron. Apparently, I can't speak. I don't. Anyway.
What are words?
What are words? Christopher Bellis Jones, welcome to our Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting the Skeleton Crew, and welcome to our patron-only Discord server. Continuing, we need to also thank Dano Kairos, Florida Man, King Zashu, Max Ironpaw, Noah Riccio, original username, Pythonic, Riley Sharrow, and Wheat. Thank you all so much for your support. Every patron is doing an incredible service to us. You're just helping us spend the time that we need to spend to make these videos good, release them in a regular schedule and all of that. And we could not appreciate your efforts any more than we do. So thank you so much. If you're somebody who's on the fence about supporting the Skeleton Crew on Patreon, do it. And do it. We'll see you next week with Pteranodon. Bye everybody.
Do you know what? I just honestly think it would be the absolute funniest bit if we do a whole Crichtonsaurus episode. We never even see it. We never even open the gate.
Don't open the gate.
They're like, bye, everybody.